Nowadays, people have an attention span of fewer than 9 seconds or less than a goldfish. As a result, images are more important than ever. A Facebook post with a photo easily can get 10 times more engagement. Probably you realized social media is a very crowded space, so using images is a great way to grab attention. My name is Gábor Kócsi, and today we talk about how we restaurant operators can use professional photography to elevate our restaurant or pub brand awareness. I invited Olivia Brabbs, storytelling photographer, to share her experience and insights. She has 15 years of experience helping businesses growing their online presence. Welcome, Olivia, in the show. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. The sun is shining.
Okay, fantastic. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, what have you learned from COVID in the last 1 year?
Sure, gosh, that is a big question, and I think anybody that you ask that to would have their own personal experiences based on obviously their home situation and the emotional impact that it's had on people. Professionally, I can only describe it as a roller coaster.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
It's been challenging, periods of totally no work to then exceedingly busy periods. For me, it's been particularly challenging because legally commercial photography has been permitted, but obviously the challenge has come from a lot of my clients are facing such difficult times, particularly my hospitality clients. They're closed, they're looking at the staff, and so working out how to support people has been really difficult. But hopefully, we're in more promising times now. We can start to look forward, and hopefully start to make some more concrete plans going forward. But there has been some amazing projects that I've worked on through the year as well. And I think for lots of brands, it's been an opportunity to, I guess, take stock. Many have taken the chance to rebrand, spruce up websites, all of that stuff. So there are a lot of positives as well as the challenges.
Okay, fantastic. Can you tell me more about your latest project?
I'm working on some very exciting projects which are looking at bigger regional marketing campaigns. So hospitality certainly crops up at that, but certainly Yorkshire focused, looking at people that are interested in tourism and promoting the region. So there's lots of exciting, very positive things there. Within York, some fantastic hospitality businesses, lots of foodie projects, which involve a lovely combination of styling as well as food photography.
I see your photos on Instagram, and also Instagram actually, and LinkedIn as well about photos, and it all looks really amazing, and it has some unique touch in it because it's not like a general normal images what I see on an A board. Olivia, tell me more about what makes your photography so unique.
Sure. Gosh, that's a really good question. And as you know, every photographer will have their own style, and that's something of them that they bring to each commission. I absolutely adore storytelling, and talk a lot about narrative, and that means capturing things very naturally. I want to capture a sense of the experience that guests will have. It's a really broad story rather than just a very functional snap that just is going to record a little moment in time. It's actually looking at the bigger picture. I take a lot of time before my shoots. A good shoot is all about the planning. So I love to build relationships with the people I'm working with, really getting to understand behind the scenes, what is it that makes this brand special? Who are the people? At the end of the day, it's the people and their passions, food that chefs have developed and slaved over in the kitchen. It can be food, it can be documentary of the chef team at work, steam, whatever it is, and then right through to the service side of things as well. So the little details and hospitality that make something so special for the guests and the visitors.
Yes, that's coming through your pictures, what I saw on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. and we know each other from a couple of years now, and looking at your photos is always more than just one picture. Is all about what people can, what people did to get this business right, what people did the business moving forward. So when looking the I feel like you always looked at the whole story of the business, not just one little aspect, and which is really great. And I absolutely love your photos. Uh,
Thank you, Gamal. I was going to add, just to add to that, I think within that, I think a big part of the role that I bring is giving people the confidence to tell those stories. I think often because people are, running their business, they're head down, they're busy, they're in the day to day. These are things that they do without even thinking about them. For them, these things that they do are not special. The chefs and their amazing skills, it's just, this is what I do. But for the people on the outside, it is amazing and it is so interesting. And, the skills and the experience and the expertise that people are putting into their businesses day in, day out. So I really like to give people the confidence to say, this is really interesting and let's tell this story and let's capture something about that.
You said something really interesting. When people are working, just put their head down and just keep developing their business, working this business. I know I get in this trap as well many times. And once I just wake up, oops, it's coming a big national day, and I don't have any images ready to advertise. So, what do you think? What is the best times in the year to having a proper photo shoot and using these images to the marketing?
So it's looking at seasonality so that you're actually ahead of the curve. As you say, there's no point waiting till November and then thinking, oh, we should do a Christmas shoot. Actually, that needs to be thought about ideally the year before, So if you're a bit late to the game, actually, the Christmas that you're in, think about what can we use of our decorations, of our decor, of our offerings now that we can use to market for next year. So you've always got to be thinking your calendar ahead, for hospitality, for hotels who have grounds, bringing the seasons in terms of the outdoors, the exterior, is just so wonderful to do. So obviously that's the optimum, but for some businesses, obviously where budgets are more restrictive, I would say anything is gonna help. And I always try and speak to people about that, is what's coming up, is it Mother's Sunday, Easter, summer holidays? What is it that's coming up, and have you thought? And it's always trying to eke out, exploit to the max what you can get out of a shoot, really future-proofing things.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And you just said very well, it's Christmas is coming, isn't it? We open now in a couple of weeks later, and we're going to be so busy just working with the the customers, because they were out 3 months without going out with their friends. And that's a really good point, actually, to, as a business owner, start to think about what are you going to offer in Christmas time? How is your dishes going to look like? And when are you going to approach businesses with your Christmas offer? Because you can't start early enough. We already have some Christmas bookings and inquiries. Latest October, is it August, probably the latest time when
Yeah.
businesses start to advertise their offers online and calling businesses up. So yeah, that's really relevant point. What I was thinking when you were talking, it sounds like the photo shoot is requires some pre-work from my end as a business owner and as well. Can you talk a little bit more about what I should do to work with you when I work with you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think anybody working with a professional photographer, it's making sure that there is time to plan. Looking at, sometimes, I might be working alongside other professionals, so there may well be a branding agency involved, a marketing agency. So there may be other professionals already that you've done some groundwork with. But if I'm working directly with a business owner, then very much like to look at those processes with them, and it's really looking at the core ethos of the business, understanding the brand messages, what we were saying about campaigns that we might want to look at through the year, and really sitting down. Obviously, these days it's Zoom, but in an ideal world, and increasingly, it's getting into your space and really looking at what the opportunities are and having a really good planning session beforehand. And I want to give loads of advice and tips so that when it comes to the actual shoot day, you're going to get the most out of the time with me. There's no point in turning up, and this has happened in the past, and the place being a tip, and I spend half of my shoot time going, can we just tidy? Can we just move that? Can we, there's stuff I'm always going to see that's going to happen, but just basic preparation. It's I always feel so frustrated for people when that doesn't happen, because I just think I should be taking pictures, not tidying. So it's little things like that, making sure that if you're planning some new crockery, for example, or you've got some new uniforms for staff, we're better to postpone and make sure that everything is in place for the shoot, because I know, just no more, you don't want the frustration of thinking, oh, actually, if we'd waited 2 weeks, we could have had da 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 da. So yeah, really looking at the details of it is important.
Yes, because some business owners see photography, professional photography, as an expense rather than an investment. And if we look at this as an investment for our future marketing activities, online, magazines, wherever we would like to use them, A-boards, then it's really worth to put the time in the planning and making sure the place looks absolutely immaculate and we can get the best out of from your photos, right?
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. I think that's the thing. Think about, as with anything, with marketing, branding, it is about the value, the bigger picture. I think you can look at it, as you say, as a functional expense. But actually, if you think for a hotel, you invest however much money, how much is that chunk of money going to convert in terms of room bookings? If you then get 12 months, 2 years worth of bookings on £1,000 investment or whatever it may be, it's peanuts, isn't it? So it's trying to look at the bigger picture.
Yes, exactly. What you put into something, that's kind of what you can get back as well. Because let's be honest, we can make our own photos as well. The camera in the iPhone or the Samsung, basically, they are good enough to make your own photos, but it's just not the same, isn't it? It's not the same. It's just like when I would go to the kitchen and try to cook something, it's never going to be the same as my professional chefs would do. And that's why it's good to have some homemade pictures. People appreciate it on Facebook, but on Instagram. But when we go to A-boards, big or magazines or online, your website, which is going to be permanent, is something what's worth to hire someone who has an eye of quality and bringing out something from your story as well. It's not just a picture from a cocktail or a food or something from the restaurant front. It's actually, there's a story behind it, and it has a full spectrum from the whole business point of view, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's it. I think it's not just seeing the images as solving one problem. So your shoot might have started out thinking, I need some pictures for the website. But actually, then let's think about it. So what can we then use for your social media? And actually then other editorial opportunities. So again, thinking about those stories, the magazines, I think people forget that they are desperate and they need content. And if you've got an amazing set of images and you've got your story ready to go, and you can think about the human interest angles, it doesn't have to be a sales pitch. It can be, this is my story and this is why I got into my business, or I have these skills, the thing that you want to tell, a married couple running a business together and how they're juggling family or whatever the angle is. It's, you've got those great images to back it up. We can then work with the magazines and the journalists to get some amazing exposure. And at the end of the day, this is, it's technically free advertising that you would normally be spending thousands of pounds to achieve. So those images, you can put them in so many different places and really get some benefit from them.
What is the trend nowadays in food photography? So if I would like to make myself a couple of good pictures just to start before we open, how shall I approach that?
Yeah, of course. And again, within food photography, it's a big old area. You will, inevitably have the studio photography that will come through and be very stylized. But for hospitality, the best thing is to photograph things, in situ, so you can build in some branding, bring in a sense of, your own decor, which makes things unique. And at the end of the day, the overall trend is a very editorial feel. And by editorial, I mean images fit for a magazine. So if you think about the Waitrose food magazine, that quality of photography where there is beautiful styling, it's typically authentic quality to the images. And it's so much more than just a plate of food. There are little suggestions with very careful choices in the styling. And that's something that I work on as well with my clients is years of experience with styling and just looking at the picture as a whole, and the opportunity for narrative as well is very key. So, when I photograph something, I like to think, this is the dish as it is, with sense of the background, but then actually can we get you twisted around it, noodles, is there a gorgeous sauce that we can get a sense of something pouring on, it's bringing it to life. And I think that's certainly a trend that's going to carry on through. And I think the other trend is certainly, we spoke about it earlier, is provenance and the source of food. I think a lot of restaurants and pubs are working with some phenomenal suppliers, and I think it's great to tell those stories. You might be where your eggs come from, your meat, and actually, can you tell stories about your relationships with those suppliers and really show your customers where that quality food comes from and your passion for that quality of food.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Especially around Europe, there's so many quality supplier and small supplier. I see cheese shop, cake shops, and they very proudly advertise where their ingredients are coming from, and they gain customer base because of that. It's just like when a restaurant is specialized for vegan, vegetarian options, for example, and they talking about where are their vegetables coming from. Yeah, absolutely great point. Nowadays, there are more sophisticated apps and softwares or available in the market. I'm not really good about that, to be honest. Can you just share what people would be able to use if they would like to make their own photos between two photo shoot?
Yeah, of course. I think there's definitely a role. Obviously, I mean, in an ideal world, I could live in someone's kitchen cupboard and just pop out and take photographs of every dish that goes out. But obviously, that's not going to happen. So, and I think on, say, a platform like Instagram, there's certainly the opportunity to have those polished professional photographs that you then use on your website, your marketing, your advertising, but also having the confidence to tell the day-to-day stories. And that's perfect. And Instagram is a great platform for that. You can use obviously your feed, but also the stories, those in the moment moments where you go, yeah, this is great. This really sums us up. And that's okay. And I think it's letting go that those images are expected to be perfect. They don't. You're telling a snapshot in a day of, something that's really important to you and your business. So be in the moment with those photographs, go for it, but don't dress it up as them being professional photographs. Just be honest about them, that you're taking them. Instagram has some great built-in filters that will certainly help slightly dodgy photography, and sort of plug a few problem areas. So those can certainly help. But another great resource as well is Canva. Certainly something that I use as well, and always encourage clients to look at if they haven't found it before. And it's a great platform to be able to just take an image and brand it. So for your offerings, for your seasonal things, for campaigns, you can just add a little something, some text, your logo, a little bit of a punchy something or other that's just going to make things very, very unique. So that's a great resource to use. And I know a lot of clients will then go on to take the images that I've done for them, and then we'll use them in Canva to really get a consistent brand message across. And obviously, once you've got your templates set up on there with your style of logo, you can just keep them going. So
That's
it's
great.
quite a little bit of initial work, but it's just a nice way to get some text or some extra visuals and really get creative with things. Stock photography can solve problems for people. It can plug a gap, and there is some amazing imagery out there.
Yeah.
But how many hours, days even, do business owners use trawling to try and find that image? They probably could have paid for me 10 times over, if they actually think about what their time is worth. So, always think about that. And obviously with stock, it's not exclusive, so there is the risk that, your competitors may be using the image as well. So there are benefits, there's no point paying for me to go and photograph the Taj Mahal, for example, if you need, so obviously the travel focused things, geographical things, stock is great, but you're right that the authenticity of having pictures of, your place, your environment, your food done your way, that's priceless.
When would be the best time to get contact with you to have the photography ready for my marketing campaign?
Of course. I think, the optimum would be as early as possible. I think, if it's been left a little bit later, it's fine. Obviously, the classic point for a full shoot would be, just pre-launch, when decor is ready to go, menus are set. So I guess during that soft launch period. But by leaving it till that late, you've missed potentially months of development time for brand awareness. So, there is opportunity to start that relationship with a photographer quite early on. Are there stories, around the reasons, that you're setting up your business, your own personal stories? It could then be tracking actually the development of your site, the refurb. I can give an example, fantastic example locally. So working with the Vices, which is in New York, hopefully this year, if COVID behaves itself. And, being involved with those guys right from the beginning. So I've actually been onto the building site because it's such an interesting development project in terms of the unique building, the stories behind it, and also starting to build stories around the owners as well, and their personal stories and their passions. They've already had great editorial exposure, so by the point you come to opening and launch, the social media following is strong, the support is there, and there's an amazing platform ready to go and launch. And obviously then we will be going into more formal shoots around, the menus, the guest experience, the beautiful decor. But yeah, we can certainly look at things early, and I would always recommend people getting in touch, as soon as they're starting to think marketing, photography. I will always advise people and say, okay, I think let's get in touch again in another 3 months. I will always make sure it's the right time for somebody, but it's great to have those chats as early as possible, and explore, what might be the ideal journey for that business.
Right. I remember these Vices. I had read the article actually in the York Post or one of the magazine as well, and they're going to have some really interesting concept in terms of when you book a hotel, we book a room with them, you're going to have some wine tasting, if I could remember as well. It's going to be quite interesting project actually.
Yeah,
So I know you're really busy. So if people would like to get in touch with you, how they can do that?
Of course, yeah. So my website is a great place to go and have a nosy at lots of images. So that's just oliviabrabbs.co.uk. And my Instagram is my main social media platform. And again, try to share lots of current recent commissions on there. So I think to get a great overview of my sort of style and approach and the things we've been talking about sort of documentary and storytelling. And you can find me on there, Olivia B Photo.
Okay, fantastic. That sounds really good. So business owners in New York, if you're looking for someone who can elevate your restaurant or pub marketing efforts and bringing you more business in by using professional photography, just reach out to Olivia and she's going to help you to tell your story in a way that you have never told before. Thank you very much, Olivia, for your time and all your insights and advice, how we can do better in our marketing using images. It was great to have you today, and hopefully we're going to see more of your work in Instagram and LinkedIn. So if you didn't get, if you're not connected with Olivia yet, I strongly recommend to visit her social media platforms, because you can always see the unique way how she connect with people in the business where she's making the photography. Thank you much, Olivia, to be with us today, and have a lovely day.
Thank you so much for it. It's lovely to chat to you.
You too as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.